Hello, everybody. This is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Part 2, Chapter 22. The shower was of short duration, and when Vronsky reached Peterhof, his shaft horse at full trot, and the other two galloping along in the mud, the sun was already out again, and was shining on the roofs of the villas and the dripping foliage of the old lindens in the neighboring gardens, whose shadows fell across the street. The water was running from the roofs, and the tree-tops seemed gaily to shake off the raindrops. He no longer thought of the harm that the shower might do to the race-course. He was full of joy as he remembered that, thanks to the rain, she would be alone. For he knew that Alexey Alexandrovitch, who had just got back from a visit to the baths, would not leave Petersburg for the country. Vronsky stopped his horses at some little distance from the house, and in order to attract as little attention as possible, he entered the court on foot, instead of ringing the bell at the front entrance. "Has the Baron come?" he demanded of the gardener. "Not yet, but the Baruina is at home. If you ring, they will open the door." "No, I'll go in through the garden." Knowing that she was alone, he wanted to surprise her. He had not sent word that he was coming, and on account of the races she would not be looking for him. Therefore he walked cautiously along the sandy paths, bordered with flowers, lifting up his saber so that it should make no noise. In this way he reached the terrace which led from the house down to the garden. The anxieties which had possessed him on the way, the difficulties of their situation, were now forgotten. He thought only of the pleasure of shortly seeing her in reality, in person, not in imagination only. He was mounting the garden steps as gently as possible, when he suddenly remembered the most painful feature of his relationship with her, a feature that he always was forgetting. Her son, a lad with a most inquisitive face. The child was the principal obstacle in the way of their interviews. In his presence, Anna never allowed a word that the whole world might not hear, never a word that the child himself could not comprehend. There was no need of an agreement on that score. Both of them would have been ashamed to speak a single word to deceive the little lad. Before him they talked as though they were mere acquaintances. But in spite of these precautions, Vronsky often felt the lad's scrutinizing and rather suspicious eyes fixed upon him. Sometimes he seemed timid, again affectionate, but never the same. The child seemed instinctively to feel that between this man and his mother there was some strange bond of union which was beyond his comprehension. The boy indeed made futile efforts to understand how he ought to behave before this gentleman. He had seen, with that quick intuition peculiar to childhood, that his father, his governess, and his nurse looked with the utmost disfavor on the man whom his mother treated as her best friend. What does this mean? Who is he? Must I love him? And is it my fault? And am I a naughty or stupid child, if I don't understand it at all? Thought the little fellow. Hence came his timidity, his questioning and distrustful manner, and his changeableness, which were so unpleasant to Vronsky. Besides, when the child was present, he always felt that apparently unreasonable repulsion which for some time had pursued him. The presence of the child was to Anna and Vronsky like the compass to a ship captain, which shows that he is drifting to leeward without the possibility of stopping on his course. Every instant carries him further and further in the wrong direction, and the recognition of the movement that carries him from the right course is the recognition of the ruin that impends. The boy this day was not at home. Anna was entirely alone, and sitting on the terrace, waiting for her son's return, as the rain had overtaken him while out on his walk. She had sent a man and a maid to find him. Dressed in a white embroidered robe, she was sitting on one corner of the terrace, concealed by plants and flowers, and she did not hear Vronsky's step. With bent head she was pressing her heated brow against a cool watering pot, standing on the balustrade. With her beautiful hands laden with rings, which he knew so well, she had pulled the watering pot towards her. Her lovely figure, her graceful head with its dark curling locks, her neck, her hands, all struck Vronsky every time that he saw her, and always caused a new feeling of surprise. He stopped and looked at her in ecstasy. She instinctively felt his approach, and he had hardly taken a step when she pushed away the watering pot and turned to him, her glowing face. "What's the matter? Are you ill?" said he in French as he advanced towards her. He felt a desire to run towards her, but in the fear of being seen, he looked around him and towards the door of the balcony with a feeling that filled him with shame, as though anything should make him fear or be untruthful. "No, I'm not well," said Anna, rising and pressing the hand he offered her. "I did not expect you. Bоже mой, how cold your hands are. You startled me. I'm alone, waiting for Seroja, who went out for a walk. They will come back this way." In spite of the calmness which she tried to show, her lips trembled. "Forgive me for coming, but I could not let the day go by without seeing you," he continued in French, thus avoiding the impossible vous and the dangerous toi of the Russian. "What have I to forgive? I'm too glad. But are you ill or sad?" said he, bending over her and still holding her hand. "What were you thinking about?" "Always about one thing," she replied with a smile. She told the truth. Whenever in the day she was asked what she was thinking about, she would have made the invariable reply that she was thinking about her future and her misfortune. Just as he came, she was asking herself why some, like Betsy, for example, whose love affair with Tushkevich she knew about, could treat so lightly what to her was so cruel. This thought was particularly tormented her today. She spoke with him about the races, and he, to divert her mind, told her about the preparation that had been made. His tone remained perfectly calm and natural. "Shall I or shall I not tell him?" she thought as she looked at his calm, affectionate eyes. "He seems so happy, so interested in these races that he will not comprehend, probably, the importance of what I have to tell him. But you've not told me what you're thinking when I first came," said he suddenly, interrupting the course of his narration. "Tell me, I beg you." She did not reply, but she lifted her head and turned her beautiful eyes towards him. Her look was full of questioning. Her fingers played with a fallen leaf. Vronsky's face immediately showed the expression of humble adoration, of absolute devotion, which had first won her heart. "I feel that something has happened. Can I be easy for an instant when I know that you feel a grief that I do not share? In the name of heaven, speak," he insisted in a tone of entreaty. "If he does not appreciate the importance of what I have to tell him, I know I shall never forgive him. Better be silent than to put him to the proof," she thought, continuing to look at him. Her hand trembled. "In the name of heaven, what is it?" said he, taking her hand again. "Shall I tell you?" "Yes, yes, yes." "Ya Beremenna," she whispered. The leaf which she held in her fingers trembled still more, but she did not take her eyes from his face, for she was trying to read there whether he understood her. He grew pale, tried to speak, then stopped short, and hung his head, dropping her hand which he was holding in both hands. But she was mistaken in thinking that he felt as she did. The feeling of repulsion and horror which had been so familiar to him of late now seized him more strongly than ever. Her husband was coming home, and it was important to extricate themselves as soon as possible from the odious and miserable situation in which they were placed. Anna's anxiety seized Vronsky. He looked at her with humbly submissive eyes, kissed her hand, arose, and began to walk up and down the terrace without speaking. At last he approached her and said in a tone of decision, "Da," said he, "neither you nor I have looked upon our love for each other as a fleeting joy. And last, we must put an end to the false situation in which we lived." And he looked around him. "Put an end? How put an end, Alexei?" she asked gently. She was calm and smiled upon him tenderly. "You must quit your husband and unite your life with mine." "But aren't they already united?" she asked in an undertone. "Yes, but not completely, not absolutely." "But how, Alexei? Tell me how," said she with a melancholy irony, seeming to think the situation was irretrievable. "Am I not the wife of my husband?" From any situation, however difficult, there's always some way to escape. Here we must simply be decided. Anything is better than the life you are leading. How well I see how you torment yourself about your husband, your son, society, all. Ach, not only my husband, said she with a smile. I don't know him. I don't think about him. He is not. You speak insincerely. I know you. You torment yourself on his account also. But he... And suddenly the tears came in her eyes. Let us not speak more of him.